Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have some pretty nifty news going on over here when it comes to brand new Xbox technology. Now, as you guys probably know, it actually might be more of a little bit of a copy if we have to go be honest, but right now, the PlayStation's kind of big still selling point, if you guys even remember. The marketing from like 4 or 5 years ago is that they had this really cool custom PlayStation 5 controller, haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, all this kind of cool stuff tied on in. And obviously, that's kind of like a big selling point because they want to have it so like your controller's vibrating, or you're hanging off like an ledge, or like, just, I don't know, just trying your best to get yourself a little bit more involved in the game, which also actually added cool features such as in like Ratchet and Clank, where you can basically half like shove down a control, like a right trigger or left trigger, and then have a chance to have like a secondary weapon. Like, it's actually really cool. Like, I like how they kind of did their controller, although that's somewhat on the older news style. We've also seen brand new updates and other patents for them adding cool stuff like additional fans, heating and cooling, and other various things out there. But one thing to kind of go note is that Xbox hasn't really done anything super special with their controllers themselves. And right now there's a brand new Xbox patent that came out that is essentially just copying over here on the PlayStation side. And as well, there's also a little bit of a sad disappointment news too when it comes to some Xbox exclusives, where it seems like they're actually may not be coming to the PlayStation itself. So a little bit of news to kind of go cover over here when it comes to the side, so make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We also have the Twitter and Twitch down below, all the nice little various links. You just want to enter in the giveaway just in case the giveaway winner does not go and contact us back. Feel free to. We also have a lot more giveaways in the very near future as well, so keep in mind for that. And let's go and dive on into the video itself. So first and foremost, let's go talk about this quicker news. We'll talk about the controller in a second. Stalker 2, which actually sold pretty well. I believe as of right this second, there's been a few million sales. And on top of this also was a day one Game Pass game. I checked out the game. It was kind of like a somewhat faster paced, like Fallout type style game, a little bit less RPG, but like more just like run and gun type style. It was cool. I didn't hate it. Like, it wasn't really a bad game. Maybe a little bit on the niche side, depending on who's picking on up, but it wasn't horrible. But they're saying over here, Stalker 2 sadly is giving some disappointing update on the potential PlayStation 5 version. Which, as you guys know, there's been a big influx of Xbox games coming either very quickly or within like the next year or so to the PlayStation 5, which I think is a win. That's a dub. Like, the more games being shared on both platforms, I think it's a win. And although Xbox more so wants to recoup a lot of their development costs by, let's say, they go have it on Game Pass, get their Game Pass numbers up, all their usual Game Pass members kind of go through it all, and after that's all done, then they go and like sell it on the PlayStation 5 and kind of double dip it, which is fine. Like, I mean, I'm sure PlayStation users don't mind because the alternative is them getting no games. Basically, the Stalker 2 director confirmed an exclusive focus on Xbox and PC versions for now, which makes sense. They're probably on that Game Pass payroll, and probably once that year-long contract is all done, which it usually is around a year or so for Game Pass, I'm sure we'll be hearing some news that they're going to start working on a PlayStation 5 port and all of that, because we've kind of seen it gone through other games. And the game's popularity also led to profit, though. So either way, and this is kind of a big dub for this, they actually have made money. So that's a big story. Like, whenever you are an indie game studio, or even just like a mid-tier studio, games cost a lot of money. And if you can kind of go turn profitability really quickly, that's great. And that's the whole point of Game Pass too as well. Because the idea behind Game Pass is, we'll go give you, say, $5 million to have a day one game and maybe pay a little bit more for keep it on there. Let's say like $500K a month, or depending on how many people actually play out the game. Because I have heard that there is some rumors that you kind of get a payout depending on how many people actually play your game as well. There's like 2 different parts of contracts. So either way, they'll probably make a little bit of money off of that, plus individual PC sales. And as of right now, they have turned a profit, which means that they're going to keep on making money. The game just came out. You give it like, Christmas sales, probably boosted up margins, stuff like that. You can let the game just kind of passively sell. More people stream it. More people put it on Twitch. More people maybe play it on Game Pass, whatever. And the game dev team is also still working on the game, but it is still sad news over here because as we mentioned, they did go and say that there's probably not going to be a PS5 release. And basically over here too. So basically Stalker 2's director comments hint at his lack of interest in talking about the likelihood of the game making it onto PlayStation. This suggests that things with the latest Stalker title are being handled quite differently compared to another major Xbox console exclusive, such as Indiana Jones, which will be coming to PlayStation at some point, even without their marketing themselves. Now, I'll be very curious to see how good the Indiana Jones sales do, though, because the game itself was okay, but either way, basically this move, just a lot of people didn't like it. Like, so on the Xbox side for Indiana Jones, they kind of felt left out. This on the reverse side, where the PlayStation 5 people are sad, saying that as of right now, they might not even be developing a PlayStation 5 version of the game, and it's likely to have its hands full too as well to go fix the game too as well, because there was a decent amount of bugs, but it's kind of the point of like RPG type style games. But in their most recent update, they did 2,000 technical updates. So that's a little bit of sad news. But the next sad news over here too is on the next gen Xbox controller, which apparently has now been copying the PlayStation 5 controller. Now, There's kind of not that much you can really kind of do with controllers. So I want to first of all say it's not the biggest deal. Like, it's fine. Like, if it works, it works. I'm not going to be a hater. But they're saying a new next-gen Xbox controller has now leaked, and apparently Microsoft has been looking at Sony and what it has done on the PS5 DualSense controller for inspiration. When the PS5 and the Xbox Series X released back in 2020, there wasn't, and still isn't, much difference in the two consoles. Finding differences is often splitting hairs, and they're basically just like, you have controllers, you have the 4 buttons on the side, the 2 analog sticks, and then, right and left triggers, and that's why I kind of set the PS5 apart a little bit. And also, some people kind of prefer the Xbox. I kind of do, in all honesty. Like, I even have my Xbox controller perpetually on my PC. It does kind of feel a little bit nicer. Like, the layout's better, although I don't hate my PlayStation 5, but if I'm playing PC games, I'm probably using an Xbox controller. The design is nice. But apparently there's a brand new Xbox patent that's now surfaced online. Now, patents don't always mean that a game or a controller or tech or whatever it might be is going to work 100%, although it usually is a good sign for, say, the next-gen console. So over here too as well, it's not specifically for a controller, but for a device within a controller designated to generate haptic feedback. And I'm sure you guys have heard the haptic feedback word a lot when it comes to the PlayStation 5 controller. A device configured to generate haptic feedback is disclosed, reads the patent in question. The device includes a housing, a connector, and a haptic motor. The connector includes a mount end coupled to the housing and a distal end spaced away from the mount end. The haptic motor is coupled to the distal end of the connector, and the activation of the haptic motor causes the haptic motor to move relative to the housing to generate the haptic feedback. Basically saying if certain things happen, there's a motor inside of it, very similar to PlayStation 5, and as that goes and happens, then, well, it obviously activates the motor to go and make things happen and generate the haptic feedback. Like, it's basically if something happens in a game, you have a quick time event, a story, cutscene, maybe like an action from an enemy NPC, then it will cause the haptic motor to go and then will basically activate and be utilized over here. Going through the actual design too as well, you guys can kind of see the rough idea of the controller itself. And as you guys kind of realize on top of this one, this is kind of just basically what we just said on the copy paste side. So once again, they do even use the word haptic feedback, which was a big selling point on the PlayStation 5. That really was that big, unique, like, console difference. The specs are very similar, both on PS5 and Xbox. Very similar. CPU, GPU, etc. Now, there is a few different things, such as the SSD being slightly nicer. If you get this, I'm kind of like recapping the 4 years if you guys missed it. But like the SSD itself was a better, just hard drive for the console, which didn't motivate like quicker load times and quicker boot ups, which is a good benefit. It's just a very nice, just bonus benefit. But also the controller is and was unique. It was something special. It was something very nice. So I'm not against Xbox doing this, because once again, like, how many other ideas do you have? Like, we were talking about before that there might be like hot and cold controllers. I still think this is probably the cooler idea, where let's say you're in a sand zone. I've used this reference before if you guys watch a lot of videos, but like you're in a sandy desert area and then like your controller gets a little bit hot. Like, I mean, you could probably do that with motors and hopefully not damage the controller or your hands. Or like it just puts up the heat a little bit and you have like a fan inside of your controller and it spews out hot air into your hands. I would love that. And then the same thing too with cold. I'm not sure exactly how you do cold. Maybe just put out like an actual fan itself, like just spewing out cold air. But I think like God of War Ragnarok, that would be awesome. I don't know. Like I could see it. I can see it. God of War Ragnarok, you get like your actual axe gets frozen, you're taking out of snow, whatever. The controller's cold. Let's say you're using like your actual, like, the dual blades themselves, like the flaming dual blades. Basically for that one, like then it's hot. Like I like the idea behind this. So there's not really that many more random ideas you guys can go and throw in for controllers. Like I would probably say the baseline idea of having a controller and it like vibrates a little bit more, or like it's harder to push down the triggers. Like that seems pretty bare bones of like ideas and concepts. Like what else do you really have? Maybe like make it so you have like the analog sticks, maybe take more pressure to turn. I don't know, add different buttons. I really don't know. I mean, they added a microphone into their PlayStation 5 controller, which I still don't know if that's a good idea or not. It's nice to let everyone at least has one, but I've also seen a lot of people yelling at their girlfriends with their PlayStation 5 controller plugged on in during Call of Duty matches. So I mean, it's kind of a hit or miss sometimes, but it is intriguing though to know, because it does kind of seem like they are trying to go match the DualSense controller, although I still want to see what's going to happen in the future for the PlayStation 6 and as well for the Xbox Series Zs or whatever they're going to call it. Xbox has really had some of the weirder names out there when it comes to all their, well, things in the first place. I'm sure you guys can tell, from the Xbox One to Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X. One day, just we still wish we would have had the Xbox 720 and then maybe the Xbox 3. I don't know. They've always had weird naming, at least in my opinion. So give me your thoughts and comments on all this type of stuff down below. Do you guys care? Is it a big deal? Probably not. And of course, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. Over here, we have the Twitters and the Twitches, our second YouTube account, and all the various stuff down below. And I appreciate you guys all so much here for watching. I'll talk to you guys all soon.